From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10, live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Sulaiman Alida.
Well, hello and welcome tonight. Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima vents his frustration with the Nigerian military over Boko Haram attacks, calls on federal government to upgrade military facilities. The military replies Governor Shettima maintains its win in the battle against insurgency in the northeast. Governor Chibike Amiche accuses presidency of stifling developments in Rivers State, asks Obasanjo to intervene, but former president says, do it yourself. And 4 people killed and over 50 trapped after a ceiling collapses in South Korean auditorium.
And on the business scene, Senate Committee on Banking and Finance begins amendment of AMCON Act 2010, move to strengthen corporations policies.
Well, on sports news, it's good news for Leather River Domestic League as the body's management company fixes a new date for kickoff of the 2013-14 season.
Begin tonight with the worrisome situation in Borno State, northeast of Nigeria, which Governor Kashim Shettima describes as a state of war. The governor, who agrees that the military is trying to defeat the Boko Haram sect, says that the present facility available to the Nigerian army cannot defeat the Boko Haram militants. Answering journalists' questions after a meeting with President Goodluck Jonathan at the State House Abuja, Mr. Shettima admitted that the insurgents are better armed than the military.
What we are being confronted with is that we are in a state of war. This is what I came to update Mr. President on. And the sooner we stop playing the ostrich and rise up to the challenges of the day and marshal all resources towards neutralizing the antics of the Boko Haram, the better for all of us. But the bottom line is we need more resources, we need more boots on ground. In all fairness to officers and men of the Nigerian army and police, they are doing their best given the circumstances they have found themselves in. But honestly, the Boko Haram are better armed and better motivated than our own troops. And believe me, I'm an eternal optimist, as I've always said, but I'm also a realist. Given the present state of affairs, it's absolutely impossible for us to defeat the Boko Haram. I make it emphatically clear to Mr. President that the Boko Haram are better armed and better motivated. Everybody who is following events in this country can give testimony to the fact that they're having a very smooth cell, overrunning communities, killing people. Have we ever succeeded in thwarting any of their plans? They went to Kokonduga. They did what they wanted to do. They held sway for over 4 or 5 hours before they left. They were in Kauri. They went to Izge. And I don't blame the Nigerian military, honestly. We, the leaders, should be held responsible for a failure of leadership.
That was Governor Shettima speaking with journalists after his meeting with the president today on the activities of the Boko Haram sect as well as that of the military in the region. In the meantime, the military has expressed dismay over the views of the Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima. The Director of Defense Information, Major General Chris Olukolade, said that it is untrue that the Boko Haram sect is gaining upper hand in the war against insurgency, as the Nigerian military is doing its best to curtail terrorist activities in the northeast. He said the military is mounting a lot of pressure on the insurgents in the forest, and that accounts for the new hit and run approach by them. He wondered why the members of the group will continue to attack innocent civilians, but assured the nation that the military is upgrading its facilities and will soon bring the war under full control. The northern governors are worried about the incessant Boko Haram attacks in the northeast region of the country. As a result, the chairman of the forum, Dr. Muazu Aliyu, says the governors must redouble efforts in fighting the insurgency.
Take a position. We must create that political will, so that from our own political will it transcends to the federal government and to the people of Nigeria. The situation has gone, to me, is going beyond what the traditional description that we give of Boko Haram. I think we need to really appreciate the gravity of the situation. Many countries will go to war for the death of one person, but it appears we are becoming a little callous. Which is happening. We must continue to encourage the federal government to really do what it is supposed to do.
Now, the issues of oil bunkering and theft of crude oil funds in the country, as well as election-related offenses, are of major concern to the government of the United States. This was made known by the United States Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, Mrs. Linda Thomas-Greenfield, at the opening of the third session of the Nigeria-U.S. Binational Commission in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. While giving assurance of the United States' readiness to help in tackling corruption in the oil sector, Mrs. Thomas-Greenfield urged the National Assembly to pass the bill establishing the Electoral Offences Tribunal to ensure that electoral offenders in the country are held accountable.
There have already been severally.
Since December 2013, the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation have been in dispute over the non-remittance of oil funds into the Federation account. This has raised concern within and outside the country. The United States has promised to offer solutions to help tackle graft in the oil industry. The United States delegation at the third session of the Nigerian Binational Commission promised to offer advice on how to tackle corruption in the oil and gas sector.
At the request of your Minister of Petroleum, we sent a delegation in December to discuss oil bunkering and revenue diversions with members of your government and all levels of the society, and to hear what Nigeria can do to fight this issue. Our delegation came up with some ideas on what can be done, and we look forward to sharing those with your government.
The United States urged the federal government to establish an Electoral Offences Tribunal before the 2015 general elections.
No matter how high the political stakes, we are dedicated to the proposition that the 2015 elections will be more transparent, more credible, and less violent than 2011. I encourage Nigeria's National Assembly to pass legislation enacting an Electoral Offences Tribunal, legislation that President Jonathan proposed when he was vice president.
We have put sustaining the culture of democracy as the platform and the epicenter of our foreign policy practice. So we are committed to working with you, with the United States government, in ensuring that this becomes the norm in our great continent.
Over the next 2 days, officials at this gathering will be discussing areas of collaboration between Nigeria and the United States. These areas include financial crimes, asset recovery, and prevention of election-related violence ahead of the 2015 general elections.
There has been a day of project commissioning in Rivers State in Nigeria's oil-rich south region. Some of the projects include 7 model schools, which are situated outside the state capital, Port Harcourt. The governor, Chibuike Amechi, and accompanying of his wife and cabinet members, welcome a former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, who commissioned the projects.
It is part of the ceremonies being observed
Lots
today.
of excitement in the air.
Now, just before this happened, just before Barrow,
Jubilant youths march around enthusiastically while dancing and singing greet the presence of the August visitor to Rivers State, former President Olusegun Obasanjo.
having to wend their way on hectares.
It's a day of projects commissioning and lots of tapes to cut by the guests to launch various projects from power to agriculture, roads and education. The Rivers State governor in the company of his wife and cabinet members led the former president to see what has been done by the administration in the past years. At one of the 7 model schools commissioned, the governor talks about the essence of the initiative, an international standard school which is free for all students.
We insisted to meet the international standard here, 25 children per class, not more than 25 children per class. And the entire school is computerized. The children, each child has a laptop to himself or herself. And here, everything here is free.
The next speaker was the former president, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. The 76-year-old ignored the steps leading to the platform and climbed the stage to the amazement of the crowd. And when he took the microphone, he treated the crowd to more comic reliefs. And from one tape cutting to the other, General Obasanjo speaks on what he has seen.
It's done.
What you are trying to do here is, first of all, training with a view to build up those who generate wealth from agriculture. Training those who will not find it too dirty and too tedious to go into agriculture. Training to make agriculture fashionable.
And right
From the stage of conception to completion, all the projects commissioned are expected to generate more jobs and improve the livelihood of the people of Rivers State. The critical factors to consider here to sustain these ideas are the issue of continuity and how these facilities will be maintained. Shehu Okinbale, reporting for Channels Television News.
State government to run.
Well, in part 2, after the break, Professor Chinedu Nebo asks Nigerians to be patient with the leadership of President Goodluck Jonathan as power has been made available. That's in a moment.